Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition with Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osmendi, your host, but if you're a regular watcher of this program or a newbie, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing on this show is a young lady I'm going to introduce you to in about 2.5 minutes. And this is a very, very special show because it's a subject that everybody doesn't know enough about and should know enough about. So without any more fanfare, I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Berenato. She's an attorney at Burroughs and Frankel here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Good. Well, it's my pleasure. May I call you Liz?
Absolutely.
And you know, people think always about car insurance. And first of all, on a bit, what should people look for when they're looking to buy auto insurance?
Okay. Well, the first thing is what people should do is buy as much insurance as they can possibly afford.
Okay.
There are different provisions of an insurance policy that are particularly important. Mm-hmm. And one of those is the limits of liability.
Okay.
And that is what coverage you have if you cause an accident and someone brings a claim against you, what coverage you have and what the insurance company is responsible to pay.
Okay.
Now, there are companies that write single limit policies, which are just a specific amount that would cover an entire accident. And other companies write what's called split limits, where it would be so much per person and then so much per accident.
Okay.
And usually the baseline in New Jersey is $15,000 per person, $30,000 per accident. But generally speaking, it's highly recommended that you have as much coverage as you can, because if the insurance company does have to defend you on a claim and you don't have enough coverage, there is the possibility that you could be personally liable for any damages that you caused someone if it's in excess of your policy limits.
Okay.
So for an example is, on the policy that I'm looking at right now, it's $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident,
Okay.
which would mean that each person involved, the maximum they could get is $100,000 per accident, and the maximum payout on the policy is $300,000.
Okay.
Which in today's world, if you have an accident and somebody is injured, $100,000 may not necessarily be enough to cover the event. So purchasing as much coverage as you can afford is recommended. There's also other coverages on policies that are of particular note.
Okay.
And that is, you always want to make sure that your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage matches your liability insurance. And the reason why that's important is because if you're involved in an accident and the person who causes the accident is not insured at all or doesn't have enough insurance, your insurance company will be available, the coverage for you, the underinsured coverage would be available for you to pursue. So for example, if you had an accident and the person causing the accident only had $15,000 in coverage and your damages are in excess of that, then you could bring a claim under your own policy for the difference between the $15,000 and in this case the $100,000 that this policy holds.
Okay.
So that's very important. There's a lot of other different provisions of policies that are important as well, but that's the main thing that you would look for.
What are some of the factors that result in your premium cost?
Well, the premium costs are driven by a variety of things.
Okay.
First, the premium costs are driven by your own driving record or anyone who's insured on your policy, their driving record. Because the insurance companies will run your driver's license number.
Okay.
They want to see how many tickets you've had. They want to see how many accidents you've had. They want to see how responsible of a driver you are. Some insurance companies may also do credit checks on you to see if you're responsible in paying your bills.
Really?
Some will, some won't.
Okay.
There's some companies that advertise that they won't, but some do. But those are the driving factors. And then actually the coverage that you purchase is the secondary driving factor. And that's why I was saying, getting as much insurance as you can afford is very important because nobody really thinks about it, but when you need it and you go to use it, it may not have the coverage that you need.
Okay.
So some of the other provisions that are very inexpensive on insurance policies that you can enhance the value would be, for example, if you're in an accident, rental car coverage. It's a very minimal cost, and most companies will cover you for 30 days while your car is in the shop. You can have the rental for that period of time and either pay a very minimal cost or in some instances not have to pay anything out of pocket. Another one is towing, unless, some people have AAA, but if you don't want to buy AAA, for a very minimal cost, you can have towing coverage. For example, on this policy, the towing coverage is only $9 for a 6-month period of time, which is significantly small considering when you need a tow truck driver to come and pick your car up, it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars out of pocket. So those are just some of the things that we would look at.
I've heard of the term PIP. Can you explain that to me?
Yes. PIP is personal injury protection. And in New Jersey, we have no-fault law, which means that if you have an accident, your own insurance company will pay your medical bills regardless of who caused the accident. And for example, if I'm sitting at a red light and somebody rear ends me and I'm injured, my own insurance company is going to pay for all of my medical bills. There's no subrogation and there's no contribution on the part of the insurance company who insured the driver who caused the entire event. And a lot of people say, well, that's not fair, but that's the way it is in New Jersey. It's a no-fault state. PIP will cover generally $250,000 per person. So if you're in a car accident and you have medical expenses, usually PIP will max out at $250,000 per person, and there's generally a 20% copay and deductible totaling about $1,200 that would be out of pocket to you, but all the rest would be covered by your insurance company. Also, interestingly enough, for anybody who drives a motorcycle, you cannot get PIP with a motorcycle policy.
You can't?
No.
Why is that?
Well, I guess because the injuries are, if you're going to have an accident, the injuries are going to be significant. So as of late, from my research, no PIP on motorcycle policies.
You mentioned if somebody rear-ends you, let's say, for instance, in the example you used, it's not your fault, but your insurance company's still going to pay for your medical bills, right?
Correct.
Would that affect your insurance premium then, because you got in an accident even though it wasn't your fault?
It's not supposed to, theoretically, but it is logged as an event where the insurance company paid for a claim. And PIP is not automatically $250. Some policies will allow a reduction in premium prices if you use health insurance primary, which means that if you have an accident, you would use your own medical insurance as the primary payment method, and that PIP would only be secondary. Sometimes there's maximum medical expense payment on policies, which would limit how much they pay out. Sometimes it's $10,000, sometimes it's $15,000. So it's very important that when you buy auto insurance, that you actually read what you bought and that you understand all of the provisions and all of the coverages that you have. Because most times when people get a policy in the mail, like this, for example, the first couple pages would be the insurance declaration pages. And that would describe all the coverages for each vehicle involved in this policy. And then after that, there's many, many pages after that where it's just policy language of the actual coverage that you're purchasing. Most people never even read this. They get it, they look at the first page, look at the coverage, and then they throw it in a drawer somewhere and they never look at it again. So it's very important to read this policy when you get it.
Is there any advantage to going to like an insurance broker that operates, or let's say represents several different companies instead of, let's say, a State Farm or a Hartford or something like that? Is that a better way to go?
If you're shopping for insurance, it's a good way to go because this broker will be able to run price quotes across various different companies. And some companies will be higher, some companies will be lower, but you may actually be able to get better coverage for the same or less than what you're paying. And like I said, a lot of companies look at different things. So maybe one company might not look at a credit score, but then another company will. That could impact it, or just your driving record generally. There's usually a 5-year look back on auto claims.
Okay.
So if you have anything in the last 5 years where you actually caused an accident and the carrier had to pay out money, that's going to impact it. So it gives you a good barometer of, okay, these are the companies, these are the different prices. The only thing I would suggest is to make sure that the coverages that they're pricing you on are all the same, so that you're comparing apples to apples on every quote.
Okay. And I imagine where you live also affects the premiums, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And it's very important that you, number one, have insurance. Because a lot of people think that, oh, I have a car that I never drive that's sitting in my driveway,
Right.
and because I never drive it, I don't need to insure it. That's not true. If you can start that car and you can put the key in the ignition and start the car, that car is technically drivable, and you must maintain insurance on it. If your car is inoperable, meaning that it doesn't have an engine in it,
Right.
it's broken down, then that's an exception. But generally speaking, you must have insurance even if you don't drive the vehicle, because somebody could get behind the wheel, drive it,
Right.
and have an incident.
No, you know, if you have an antique car, you know, like you've seen those a lot, right? Or a historical car, whatever you want to call it. That premium is going to be different than a normal insurance premium, isn't it?
Right, exactly. So you can get what's called limited use coverage.
Okay.
If you have an antique that's over 25 years old, there's companies that write specifically for those types of vehicles. But also, if you have a limited use policy, like let's say there's a vehicle that you have that's rarely driven. You can tell the insurance company, well, I only drive this vehicle 1,000 miles a year, and that's the maximum that I drive it. You'll get a reduction on the rates, but you actually have to make sure that you're actually driving it less than the mileage, because insurance companies will want to see odometer readings on the renewals. They'll want to know not just the numbers, but sometimes they'll actually ask you to take a picture of the odometer and send it in so that they can actually see what you are driving.
Really?
And you had mentioned about logistics and locations. That definitely will impact the cost of insurance. That's something that's territorial. They know what the risks are. If the risks are higher for damage or theft, or in congested areas, like in New Jersey, for example, you know, your rates are going to be much higher than if you lived out somewhere where there's virtually no traffic and it's
And
quiet.
that's going to affect your comprehensive, correct?
Well, comprehensive coverage is different,
Okay.
because with comprehensive, that's a no-fault situation.
Okay.
Examples of comprehensive would be if you ran into a deer, or a deer ran into your car.
Okay.
Or your car is parked in the driveway and a big tree limb falls on it and crushes it.
Okay.
That's a comprehensive claim, because it's not your fault. And there's separate deductibles for property damage for comprehensive as opposed to collision.
Okay.
Like, for example, on this policy, the collision deductible is $1,000. And that's if you're driving the car, you damage it, it's, you know, your fault, and you have to pay the deductible of $1,000 to get it fixed. And your insurance company would pay the difference. But on a comprehensive claim, this policy has $500 deductible. So if the deer ran into you, or you hit a deer, or a tree limb fell on your car, or if your car is parked at the grocery store and someone backs into it,
Right.
your comprehensive deductible is $500 on this policy. But you can rate and adjust the deductible. If you can't afford $1,000 deductible, you can lower it to a lesser amount, but the policy premium will increase if the deductible is lowered. So sometimes people will increase the deductibles to get a lower price.
Like from 500 to 1,000, for instance.
Right, they'll go from they'll edge it up
Right.
to save on the back end on the policy. But then the bad side of that is, if you have a claim, you've got to put a lot more money out.
Right up front then, exactly. Now, there's consequences if you don't have insurance in New Jersey. Is that correct?
Yes, there are pretty stiff consequences. And insurance companies know what vehicles you have, and so does the state. So it's not hard to look up and see how many vehicles are registered under your name and how many vehicles are insured. And when you file your registration every year, you have to put down your insurance policy information on there. And the reason is they want to make sure that every car is insured.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's not always the case. So if you have a situation where someone causes an accident and they're not insured, then your own policy, which would be your uninsured motorist coverage, would kick in.
Okay.
And that's why that provision is very important, because that will cover you if somebody hurts you and they're not insured.
Okay. But there's a legal problem too if you're uninsured, is that correct?
Yes, there's legal ramifications for that, especially if there's an accident, you have no insurance, you're going to have to answer to the court.
Okay.
I don't know specifically, every court's different, but you're probably going to get a suspended license. You're going to get very significant fines.
Wow.
It's just not it's not recommended to do that. And if you let your insurance lapse on a car and then you try to purchase it, a lot of companies don't want you. So you have to be very careful about keeping your coverages current and purchasing what you can afford to protect you and your family.
What's the minimum coverage somebody should have in the state of New Jersey? I know you said you should buy as much as you can afford. What if you really have bare bottom, what's the minimum you should have on your car?
Well, there's policies that are basically street legal policies. They're called $1-a-day policies.
Okay.
And they don't really offer anything. So if you're hit by somebody who has a $1-a-day policy, your own insurance hopefully is sufficient to cover whatever losses you have.
Okay.
But baseline on coverage is $15,000 per person, $30,000 per accident, which is not a lot. Some people, that's what they can afford and that's what they buy. But if you fast forward and bring it to actually how that would apply to a claim, that same situation where you're rear-ended, the person's hurt, $15,000 per person is all the insurance company has to pay out for that person, and that's not much. It really isn't. So if it's a significant injury and you have assets and you only have $15,000-$30,000 in coverage, there's a very possibility that you might be sued personally and your assets taken from you, or an attempt would be made to have your assets taken from you to make the person that you injured be whole again.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So you want to try to protect your own assets by having coverage.
Right. Well, we got to take a quick break right now, pay a couple bills, but we're going to be right back with Elizabeth Berenato, so stay where you are and we'll be right back.
There's an old expression in business that you can't manage what you can't measure. Business performance and business valuation, it's all measured by the numbers. But I've learned that the real lessons and the tough decisions that are made occur behind the numbers. My name is Dave Bookbinder. Join me and my guests as we go behind the numbers to understand what really matters most in business.
I love that we both got an awesome network and save money doing it.
I know, $25. I love that it's guaranteed for 3 years.
Hey, we're sitting on a sign here.
Switch and get Welcome Unlimited for $25 a line, guaranteed for 3 years. Verizon.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Iorio. I'm the host of Rainmakers Roundup right here on RVN TV. The show is about looking for people who are in competitive businesses that are doing something different and unique in the world of sales and marketing. Join me right here on Rainmakers Roundup on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. and then again on Thursday evenings at 6:30 p.m. right here on RVN TV.
Oh, okay. Easy does it.
We switched to Liberty Mutual and saved $652. They customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. With the money we saved, we thought we'd try electric unicycles. Careful, babe. Saving was definitely easier.
Hey, babe, I think I got it. It's actually...
Okay, show off.
Help!
Oh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Joanne, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Market news, experts, the economy, investment topics, and much more. I'm Joanne Morgano, and this is Martin Salzman.
And we're financial advisors.
We'll give you the latest happenings on everything that affects your money.
welcome back, everybody, to this edition of Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osmendi, your host, but once again, that's not the most important thing in this show. Most important thing in this show is this young lady I have sitting next to me. It's Elizabeth Berenato. She's an attorney, also a certified civil trial attorney too, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you know your stuff. There's no question about it. And it's great to have you here. Thank you for being on my show. We talked about something called excess coverage. Could you explain it to my audience?
Yes. So there's policies called umbrella or excess coverage policies where it covers everything that you own, basically.
Okay.
You can have your cars, your home, if you own like a boat, a trailer, a mobile home, and all of this property can be covered on what we call an umbrella policy.
Mm-hmm.
Umbrella policies are very inexpensive and offer a lot of coverage. Generally speaking, they're less than $500 a year.
Mm-hmm.
They usually offer coverage of about $1 million, or you can get even up to, above that in $2 million, $3 million, whatever you want to buy.
Okay.
But the price point is very low and the benefit is very high.
Okay.
Because again, if an accident happens and you're at fault, you will not only have the benefit of the policy for your car insurance, but you'll also have that umbrella policy that the injured person can go after.
Okay.
And that will protect your assets if you are involved in an accident and you're sued.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney filing the claim is going to know about your car insurance, and they're also going to know about the umbrella insurance.
Okay.
So if you own property, that's very important to have, and for such an inexpensive amount, it's definitely worth looking into. And your local brokers can do the research on that and give you prices depending upon what types of property you want to insure.
Yeah. Now, that brings a very interesting situation because everybody's buying things online now. But like you said, if you go to a broker, you're probably going to get a lot more attention, and you'll learn a lot more about what you should have. Correct? So there's an advantage of going to a bricks and mortar, so to speak, rather than online.
Absolutely. A lot of times when people buy online, and I've seen it with my clients, is they're really just focusing on the price.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really look at what the policy is offering and what it's covering. And going to the broker and going in and talking to somebody or even emailing the broker, they can give you sound advice
Mm-hmm.
on what coverage you should have, and also give you sound advice on the costs and price points of the various coverages, so
Right.
that you can make an intelligent decision, because they are the experts when it comes to selling insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So they know what types of things are available and try to fit that within your budget, but also making sure that the coverages that you're actually buying are coverages that you want and you need.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go online, that's not the kind of attention you get.
Right.
Normally, they're just picking it because it's the lowest price, but you may not have some of these essential things that I think are very inexpensive, like the rental reimbursement
Right.
and the towing. And also there's a provision for essential services if you're injured. The insurance company will pay, on this particular policy, $20 per day, $14,600 maximum for somebody to come into your home and help you after you've had an accident with any essential services.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount is de minimis on what it costs on this policy. So those are just some other things. Also, income continuation benefits are available. If you're out of work and you, as a result of a car accident, the insurance company, like in this policy, offers income continuation benefits of $125 per week and $13,000 maximum, which is also an additional benefit that you have under this policy. And the amount is so de minimis that it's just crazy not to have it.
Oh, okay. Well, if God forbid you have an accident, what should you do when the first thing you have an accident? What would you recommend a person do?
Okay. After an accident, well, first of all, before you even get to the accident, make sure that you have your insurance policy, the card,
Right.
showing that you're insured and that it's current.
Okay.
Also, make sure that you have the registration that is current in your glove box, because if you have an accident and you produce documents that are outdated, you will be ticketed for that. And it's pretty expensive, the ticket, because they're saying you have insufficient documents.
Okay.
But after the accident happens, the first thing you need to do is, obviously, if you're injured, is seek medical attention. The police will come out, they'll do an investigation, they'll ask you questions. You'll have to provide the documentation showing that you're insured and that you have your vehicles registered. But make sure that your passengers are safe if you have passengers, and that everybody is okay, and if they're not, to get immediate medical attention. Secondarily, report it to your insurance company as soon as possible that there is a claim. Let them know so that they can get on board and help provide you with any benefits or coverage that is available under your insurance policy, so that you and your family are protected.
Okay, that's really good advice, because nobody wants to get in an accident, and once you get in an accident, everybody's kind of shooken up and everything. But those are good steps to remember, right? Anything like that happens.
Absolutely, definitely, and just keep your, just be safe and keep your family safe. Obviously, if this accident happens on a busy highway, don't get out. Just stay in your car, wait for the police to arrive, and secure the area so that it's safe. Because the last thing you want is to have yourself get injured getting out to try to address the other driver.
Right.
The police will do that.
Okay. When people talk about bundling their insurances, is there any advantage to doing that?
Some companies offer discounts for bundling. I'm sure people see it advertised all the time.
Right, exactly.
And you will get discounts for if you insure your home and your auto. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting the best deal out there.
Oh, okay.
You should still check with other companies, because some companies might have higher premiums for homeowners insurance than other companies that write more policies for homeowners, or like on auto policies, the same thing. So just because they're offering a discount on a bundling doesn't mean that you're getting the best value for your money. It's a good idea to shop around, get price quotes, and compare coverage to coverage. And this is a good time of year to start thinking about that, with the end of the year approaching. It's good to just kind of think about what you have, look over your policy, see what you have, contact your broker and see. You might even be able to get some discounts that you didn't even know were available.
And there are some other discounts, right, for having a car alarm and things like that. Are those discounts available?
Yes, they are available. Most companies will give discounts for the more highly educated people. So if you have a college degree or higher, you will get a discount for that. Also get a discount for devices in your vehicle, such as alarms, anti-lock braking systems, anti-theft devices, cameras, rear cameras, front cameras. Those are all things that will help in reducing the price of the policy. So be familiar with what your car has. And if you're not sure, check with where you purchased your car. If you have your manual, look up what things you have in the car, or sometimes the insurance company can actually run the VIN and could tell you more about your car than you probably know about it to get those discounts.
Right, and that's another reason to going to a regular broker too, that could actually walk you through that, correct?
Correct.
Rather than guess it online.
Exactly.
Now we're at the front of our program right now, Liz, where I'm going to take you and have you look in that camera right there and tell people how they can reach you and who should call you.
Okay. Yes, I'm Elizabeth Berenato. I'm a certified civil trial attorney with Bross and Frankel. We're located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. If you have any questions about your insurance, I'd be happy to review your policy for free and give you any recommendations on what I feel you should do in terms of your coverage. And you can reach our office at any time. We're located at 725 Kenilworth Avenue in Cherry Hill. Thank you very much, Joe.
Oh, thank you for being here. You're a wealth of information, first of all. And it's something that's so important that people just overlook a lot. And you can save money by doing that. You can get the coverage you need. And I thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for watching today. We'll see you next week on Coffee with Joe.